Welcome back. Today we're diving into an intense and potentially devastating twist involving Rafe Hernandez, a shocking vow, and the hidden danger looming closer than anyone expected. Rafe makes a dangerous promise, and fate might hold him to it. In a gripping scene that aired on August 5th, fans of Days of Our Lives witnessed a pivotal moment that may shape the future of Rafe Hernandez. As he guided Kat Green through a self-defense lesson, a shadow of danger fell over the interaction, hinting that the consequences of his well-meaning promise may be more than either of them can bear. While the training session began lightheartedly, with Kat eager to prove she could handle herself, the tone quickly shifted when Rafe uttered the now haunting words, "As long as you're my partner, I'll protect you with my life." It was a line meant to reassure, but longtime fans of the show know better. It's never just a line on Days of Our Lives. Kat Green surprises Rafe, but sparks something more than admiration. Though Shane Donovan has no current intention of sending Kat into active field work, Kat's insistence on being prepared speaks volumes about her mindset. She doesn't want to be seen as someone who needs saving, she wants to be ready to fight her own battles. Her rapid learning curve during the self-defense training genuinely impresses Rafe. She may not have field experience, but Kat is no damsel in distress. Her determination to hold her own reflects a strong and resilient spirit, perhaps one that Rafe finds increasingly magnetic. But admiration isn't the only thing bubbling under the surface between these two. Tension, trust, and the beginning flickers of something deeper are beginning to stir. However, when Rafe assures her that she doesn't need to worry as long as he's by her side, he may have unknowingly signed his own fate. Foreshadowing trouble. Is another coma on the horizon? The writers of Days don't drop words like, "I'll protect you with my life," without follow-through. Historically, such declarations have foreshadowed impending heartbreak, life-or-death situations, or even dramatic disappearances. For Rafe, who has already faced a coma in the past, thanks to a brutal attack by Connie Viniski, this could very well be a chilling case of history repeating itself. Although there's no clear confirmation that Rafe will die or suffer permanent harm, fans can expect a dramatic twist. Rafe could be seriously injured while shielding Kat from an ambush, leaving him hospitalized in critical condition. The show might even go so far as to have Rafe presumed dead, throwing his loved ones, especially Kat, into emotional chaos. A hero's sacrifice? Guilt and gratitude collide in Kat's heart. If Rafe does end up in a coma or presumed dead, it will open an emotional floodgate for Kat Green. She already carries the weight of being a newcomer trying to prove herself, but now she may have to live with the crushing guilt that Rafe paid the price for her safety. Her journey through guilt and grief could reveal more layers to her character, showing vulnerability beneath her tough exterior. At the same time, this tragedy could fuel her resolve, pushing her to take bold actions in Rafe's honor or perhaps even avenge the attack that brought him down. A fiery romance in the making, or a tragedy in disguise? While the storyline could lean into tragic territory, there's another possibility. The chaos ahead may serve to ignite passion between Kat and Rafe. If he survives a life-threatening incident and pulls through, the adrenaline, fear, and gratitude might culminate in a deeply emotional, and potentially romantic, moment between the two. That kiss fans have been waiting for. It could finally happen in the aftermath of danger, when emotions are raw and walls are down. Their bond would no longer be just professional, it would be forged in blood, sacrifice, and mutual trust. Could Shane Donovan be keeping secrets? Meanwhile, Shane's insistence that Kat won't be in the field might not be entirely genuine. Is he hiding a larger mission? Does he know more about the threats ahead than he's letting on? If Shane sends Kat into danger with Rafe as backup, he may be inadvertently putting both their lives on the line. There's potential here for a subplot involving Shane's inner conflict or secrets from Kat's past. Why is Kat so insistent on preparing for violence? Has she received a threat no one else knows about? These undercurrents of mystery only intensify the stakes. The enemy lurking in the shadows, the possibility of an unknown antagonist targeting Kat, or even Rafe himself. Can't be dismissed. Perhaps Connie Viniski isn't the only one with a grudge. Maybe a hidden enemy has returned to Salem with vengeance on their mind, lurking in the shadows and watching their every move. This enemy could orchestrate an attack that puts both Rafe and Kat in peril, leading to a dramatic rescue attempt, a harrowing escape, or an explosive shootout. And if Rafe throws himself in harm's way to protect Kat, the consequences could be career-ending, or life-threatening. Loved ones left in turmoil if Rafe ends up comatose, presumed dead, or otherwise incapacitated. It won't just affect Kat. Gabby, Rafe's sister, will be thrown into a storm of emotion. She's never been one to handle tragedy quietly. Expect explosive confrontations, passionate pleas at his bedside, and perhaps even accusations thrown at Kat, blaming her for putting Rafe in harm's way. The ripple effects will be felt throughout Salem. From Marlena to Roman, from Gabby to Kat. Everyone will be left questioning whether Rafe's loyalty and courage were ultimately his undoing. Final thoughts. Rafe's destiny lies in the balance, whether this is the start of a slow-burning romance, a devastating tragedy, or a tale of redemption and survival. One thing is clear, Rafe is stepping into dangerous territory, both literally and emotionally. The vow he made to protect Kat may not just test his bravery, it may define the next chapter of his life. One wrong move, one shadowy figure, one bullet meant for someone else, and Rafe could be lying unconscious once more, clinging to life. Next, a storm in Salem, family secrets unraveled in court in the quaint, historic town of Salem, where cobblestone streets whisper tales of the past. The air was thick with tension on a crisp Thursday afternoon. The grand courtroom of the Salem Inn, usually a place of quiet elegance, had transformed into a battlefield of emotions, where love, betrayal, and long-buried secrets collided in a dramatic legal showdown. At the heart of this tempest were E.J. DiMera, a charismatic yet polarizing figure, and Belle Black, a seasoned attorney with a reputation for integrity. Their love, declared passionately just hours earlier in the privacy of the Salem Inn's luxurious suite, was now tested in the harsh light of the courtroom. The case at hand was no ordinary trial. Belle, known for her unwavering commitment to justice, found herself in an unenviable position, prosecuting her own nephew, Johnny DiMera. The young man, with his tousled dark hair and anxious eyes, stood accused of a grave crime, an attempted shooting that had left his father, E.J., wounded. The presence of Jonathan Reiner, a stern representative from the state attorney general's office, added an extra layer of scrutiny. His piercing gaze followed Belle's every move, a silent reminder that her actions would be judged not only by the court but by the state itself. Yet, Belle stood tall, her voice steady as she promised to uphold fairness and integrity, even as her heart wrestled with the weight of family ties. As the trial unfolded, the courtroom buzzed with anticipation. Johnny, visibly shaken, stepped out of the courthouse for a moment, his shoulders hunched under the burden of what was to come. E.J., ever the protective father despite their strained history, placed a reassuring hand on his son's back. It was a fleeting gesture, but one that spoke volumes, a father's love clashing with the chaos of their shared past. Inside the courtroom, however, the dynamics shifted dramatically as Belle took her place at the prosecution table, her eyes sharp and her resolve unshaken. The heart of the trial lay in a single, explosive question: why had Johnny been so angry with his father? On the witness stand, Johnny's nervousness was palpable. His hands fidgeted, and his voice wavered as Belle, with the precision of a seasoned lawyer, began her questioning. She probed gently at first, asking about the events leading up to the shooting. E.J., seated nearby, leaned forward, his expression a mix of concern and calculation. He had advised Johnny to keep certain truths buried, particularly the dark secret of Sammy Brady's rape, a trauma that had shaped their family's history and led to Johnny's very existence. E.J. urged his son to focus instead on a less incendiary issue, his belief that E.J. had meddled in Johnny and Chanel's adoption plans. But the courtroom is no place for secrets to remain hidden. Under Belle's relentless questioning, Johnny's composure crumbled. The truth spilled out like a dam bursting, raw and unfiltered. "I knew," Johnny admitted, his voice breaking, "that EJ raped my mother. That's why I was conceived." A collective gasp rippled through the courtroom. Spectators leaned forward, their whispers filling the air like static. Jonathan Reiner, seated near the bench, nodded solemnly, as if confirming a suspicion. He rose and left the room, his departure a silent signal that the trial had taken a seismic turn. Belle's face remained impassive, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of pain. She was not just a lawyer in this moment but a sister, an aunt, a woman caught in the crossfire of her family's darkest truths. Johnny's admission didn't stop there. He confessed to taking Roman's gun, his grandfather's weapon, with the intent to use it against EJ. The revelation hung heavy in the air, a testament to the rage that had consumed him. Belle, ever the professional, turned to Jonathan's empty seat, as if seeking his approval, but the moment was hers alone to navigate. Across the room, EJ's expression darkened. He rose, his presence commanding as he faced his son. "Did I shoot you, Johnny?" he asked, his voice steady but laced with an undercurrent of desperation. Johnny shook his head, his eyes glistening. "No. You couldn't hurt me. You're my father, and you love me." The words were a lifeline, a fragile thread of connection between father and son. But EJ wasn't finished. He turned the questioning toward Belle, his tone sharp. "And who is Belle to you, Johnny?" The young man hesitated, confused. "She's my aunt," he said softly, almost apologetically. EJ seized the moment, his voice rising with calculated precision. "And isn't it true that Belle, as your aunt, used personal knowledge not introduced into evidence to steer this trial?" The courtroom erupted in murmurs. Belle's objection was swift, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Your Honor, this is outrageous." But the judge's gavel fell like a thunderclap, reprimanding EJ for attempting to incriminate the prosecution. The reprimand, however, did little to quell the storm EJ had unleashed. Undeterred, Belle redirected her questioning, her focus laser-sharp. She pressed Johnny further, drawing out another damning admission. "Didn't you say EJ deserved to be shot?" she asked. "Didn't you say you didn't care if he lived or died?" Johnny's shoulders slumped, his voice barely above a whisper. "Yes," he admitted, the weight of his words settling over the room like a fog. The spectators sat in stunned silence, the gravity of the family's fractured bonds laid bare for all to see. EJ, sensing an opportunity, turned the tables once more. "Johnny, tell the court about my relationship with Belle." The young man blinked, caught off guard. "She's your girlfriend," he stammered, his cheeks flushing. EJ's eyes gleamed as he addressed the judge directly. "Your Honor, this is a clear conflict of interest. Belle Black cannot prosecute this case impartially. She's too entangled in our family's history, in our personal lives. I move for an immediate dismissal of this trial." The courtroom fell silent, the weight of EJ's words hanging in the air. Belle's glare was icy, her hands clenched tightly at her sides. The judge, a seasoned arbiter with a reputation for fairness, leaned back in his chair, his expression unreadable. The motion to dismiss was a bold gambit, one that could upend the entire trial. Would the judge see it as a legitimate concern, or would he view it as EJ's desperate attempt to escape justice? The answer remained elusive as the gavel hovered, poised to decide the fate of this fractured family. As the session adjourned for the day, the spectators filed out, their whispers a chorus of speculation. Outside, the Salem sun dipped low, casting long shadows over the town. For EJ, Belle, and Johnny, the trial was far from over. The courtroom had become a crucible, forging truths that could either heal or destroy. In Salem, where secrets never stay buried for long, the next chapter of this saga promised to be as gripping as the last.